we're all about beautiful places, beautiful people. We're here to educate and learn from you. It's a pleasure to have you join us on our show today. And today we are at Le Petit Paris. You know how we love this place and the coffee that they serve here. So yes, we're back again with more exciting topics and exciting guests. Today we're going to be talking about a very interesting topic that's dear to my heart. But before we get into that, I am your host Tisa, and joining me today will be Mabel and two other talented, educated, these women are packed and they're entrepreneurs. One is also a salesperson, and they have so much to share with us today. So today we're going to be talking about how you can still get into professions. You can still do so many things out there without necessarily having a degree. Last week we talked about the things that limit degree holders, the things that make degree holders poorer than people who don't have degrees. So to take it up and just to ride you through where we're headed, today we're going to be talking about ways in which you can get into other things. You don't limit yourself. You are thinking outside the box. And today we are outside the box and talking about professions and, well, it's still work that you could do without a degree. And joining us today is Rebecca. She just started out recently, but her journey has been amazing. She's setting trends. This woman is going far. She's a very young woman, and I can't wait for you to meet her, as well as a salesperson. So these are things that they got into, and I just can't wait to hear from them how they started out. And let me not say too much. Join us today, and thank you for tuning in. So today we're actually out of the box because we mentioned you think outside the box. So we have these two ladies who are doing things that are outside the box. They're pursuing their degrees, but they're also thriving in other fields where they're not being trained at school in, but they're learning. And we would just want to know, starting from you, other than what I said, tell us more about yourself.
Okay, like you already mentioned.
Let me do this.
Okay, so my name is Letitia. I'm a fourth year student at the University of Zambia doing adult education and civic. So besides that, I am very passionate about art. Yes, not really the art of drawing. I mean art, like anything. I love beauty.
Okay.
So when I went to UNZA, I had some challenges that made me discover myself. So I discovered I was good with people. And instead of just letting that slip, I decided to just explore. Yes, I started selling boxes in first year. And
What type of boxes?
No boxes.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Yes, so one time I was working for a certain gym in
Yeah.
Americas. Then I met some ladies. At the time, I was a gym instructor. Yes, I figured I was like,
This
Gym
explains why you're very
instructor,
fit, you know?
yes, yes. So I was a gym instructor, and I always look for ways to maximize. Like, okay, what else can I do? Then I discovered there were ladies around, so I started selling underwear. And one time I was trying to sell to a certain lady, and I noticed she was feeling a bit uncomfortable. Yeah, she just told me, no, get everything and put it in my car.
Okay.
Then I was like, if a lady, because I know ladies to be bored when it comes to such things. Like, if she could feel like that, what more my brothers? Yeah, so when I came to UNZA University, I decided to help out. I was like, okay, I'm going to make their lives easier.
Yeah.
So I used to deliver to their rooms. Then along the way, the attitude in me to sell developed.
Okay.
Yeah. In my second year, I was walking in town. I saw some suits. People were selling suits. Then I was like, okay, I have a market for you.
Yeah.
If you and I can enter into an agreement, I would bring you such and such a number of clients. Then it started from there. Like, we entered into a contract, and I worked with them for 2 years. I actually still work with them. Yeah. Okay, the story is long. Right now, I'm working for 2 other organizations. I'm working with DNK and Pre-Savers. So this is an engineering firm. I market for them. How I got my job is through posts. I write a lot of things. Sometimes I post stories on my wall. I have a page on Facebook. Sometimes I just write things that I think about. So one time I wrote a story on LinkedIn, and someone from the same organization contacted me. They were like, Pratisha, I see a salesperson in you because you're very good at what you do. You are able to sell ideas. So I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, so for me, the sales aspect is not something that I learned from anywhere. It's something I learned through experience and my passion for art. So it's related to the stuff that I loved. I do a lot of things. I tailor when I'm bored. I've plaited hair before. I've explored. Yeah.
No, clearly you have, but tell us about the challenge, dealing with school and having so much to do on your plate.
Okay, so if I'm being honest, it's something that's very, very challenging. Though no one will tell you this, because people will just show you the good side about everything.
That's how it
but
is.
there's what's known as nothing. There's nothing for nothing. You always have to sacrifice something at a certain point. So I learned to strategize. Yeah, I use my timetable at school. It depends with how busy school is. That's how like how much time I dedicate to what. So if school is very busy, like right now, we'll be doing our exams soon. I'll forsake my business a bit. I do online business, so it means that I won't be making any movements. I'll just be in the room. When school is not that busy, I move a lot and forsake my school. It almost cost me a course last year. Yeah, so it's very challenging, but I would urge people to first know their lifestyles and strategize. Look at what's important at what time if you're a student. Yes, it will help you know when to do what.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you for that. I'll let Chishimba tell us as well her journey and what she's been up to.
Okay, so Chishimba Rosario Msonda. Most people in the business field, they refer to me as Rose.
Okay.
Yeah, so for me, I'm just one person who doesn't like sitting and doing nothing. Yeah, so okay, my journey in business started after grade 12.
Okay.
Grade 12, I got a job at few opticians. That's if you know them.
I think I do.
We do.
Yeah. Yes. So I worked with them for like 2 years until up to the time when I went to school. I'm actually a 4th year student at UNZA, just like Retisha. I'm doing psychology and development studies. Yes, so for me, I've always had a passion for cooking. I love the kitchen above everything.
Okay.
Yes,
I
so
know, at least we know who to call every time we have a
yeah. So for me, it has the kitchen has always been a place of comfort for me. Whenever I'm stressed, I would always run to the kitchen, do something. Yeah. So that's how my baking career started, self-taught. So eventually, I would always make snacks, cook this dish and everything like that. Yeah, but I got into the business world, like fully baking, which was last year during the COVID period, like when COVID hit so badly. I couldn't just sit home and do nothing, so I was like, let me try this out. My dad was like, how are you going to manage with school and everything? But I was like, there's nothing we are doing right now, so I think I can just go out there, because I would bake for people at home to eat, for my friends. Then I was like, maybe let me try to take the business outside. So that's what I did. Yeah, and like I got a lot of help from my friends. I think you know one of them, Aaron.
Shout out.
Yeah, he's been of great help in my baking journey. Yeah, so that's how I started.
So apart from me just not liking to sit in one place like you mentioned, what was like the other motivation aspect you could put out there? Because you said you started working immediately after the 12.
Yeah.
So what was the core motivation behind that?
Okay, the core motivation behind that was for me to help out at home, because looking at the challenges that we had and everything, so I had to step out to start helping out. And for after school, when I was done with school, I was like, I don't want to go back to my dad with all these responsibilities and start telling him that I need money for this and this and that. So I was like, okay, let me get a job and let me try to raise money for everything that I needed at school. So that's what I did. So for me, when I was starting at UNZA, like I was fully booked. I had everything. I got a stove, I got literally everything.
Everything.
Yeah. So that was the motivation behind it.
Nice one.
Yeah.
So you said you bake everything from scones to cakes,
Cakes.
wedding cakes. Wow.
I'm calling you. My birthday is up. When is okay? It passed, but I'm having another one next month.
Sure. And okay, for baking, it's very involving.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
it
it's
is.
very involving, and I had to more like put my life on hold a bit for me to pursue the baking career that I got myself into, and it's really hard to balance baking and school
And the life as well.
and the life as well, because all the three things are very involving. With baking, you have to be there. Yeah, so I had to sacrifice, I would say, part of my life.
The social life.
My social life especially. I just went behind the scenes and I was just working on it, and it's an art that takes time for you to master.
Okay.
It's not something that just comes overnight. It takes a bit of time to master. Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
I can imagine all the cream to make it look fancy,
Yes.
attractive, you know, that takes time.
Yeah.
Okay. So
So-
we're going to, sorry, before we carry on, I'd want the ladies to sip the coffee and I'd want you to get your coffee. So we're going to go on a short break and we'll
Thank
be
you.
back soon after.
Thank you.
Before we went on a break, we were just getting to know a little bit more of our beautiful ladies here. So let's get more of what they have to share with us. So I'll start with you, Chishimba. Did you ever feel at some point, you know, being in school and having, you know, to work, did you ever feel like stopping? Was the pressure too much? Especially when you started, let's say maybe two months or 4 months after venturing into the business of baking.
Okay. Yeah, I did feel like stopping.
Was the money good?
And so many times. The thing is, just like any other business or any other career, when starting it was really hard. One, you don't have clients, and maybe you don't have finances as well, because baking involves a lot of money. There's a lot that you have to invest for you to start reaping. Yeah. So I did feel like quitting so many times. Yeah.
What kept you going? You know, family, looking at school. What was like, you know, just keep up.
What kept me going was my family and my friends. They have always been super supportive,
Nice.
and one of them is right here. Yeah, they've been super supportive with my passion. So my friends are the ones that started the advertising for me and everything. Yeah.
You have a page?
Yes, I do have a page.
It's called.
Bake Mix.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
I just saw it now.
Yes.
And I'll let you now tell us a little bit of your part.
Okay. I actually did give up.
You actually gave up.
Yeah, because like I said, I was into a lot of things, and sometimes I would find myself actually doing the work. Yeah. So with me, I explored like a lot because I wanted to find myself. And then at some point, I gave up. Like last year, I had invested some money into. I also saw chinos, jeans, and whatnot in school. So I had invested a lot of money. A friend of mine was like, "Why?"
Chinos.
Yes.
Oh, I was thinking you saying go like I was gonna be like, sis.
So yeah, so I had invested a lot of money in that. Then the dollar issues. Yeah, so a lot of people lost their purchasing power, which meant that not that many people could afford the stuff that I was selling. So I had to sell the stuff at a lower price because I wanted to get to sell everything.
Yeah.
So it really hurt me because I had really done so much to get that money.
And you
So
made a budget.
I made a budget and I lost the money just like that. Yeah, so I actually gave up. For some time, I wasn't doing anything. I was just there like, okay, I'm done. I'll just focus on my school because this thing keeps on hurting my academics. And then I can't see the end product, like the effort. I couldn't see it. So I gave up. And then something just took me back. I started asking myself questions like, why did I begin in the first place?
Yeah.
So it took me back to the passion.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what kept me going was the passion and my sisters, my friends, like she said. At UNZA, we are supportive.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you find friends that would call you, Tisha, I have this client that wants this. And you're like, okay, so if these people still believe in me, then why should I doubt my capacity? So I started again. I started with boxers now, started with the little that I had. And yeah, if you just change your focus, you stay positive, things work out.
Definitely. No, that is great. And
I think she wants to add something.
yeah, before she goes on, I wanted to, when you're adding that, to answer this question. With both of you had a point where you wanted to give up, and both of you had your challenges. So I just want to find out, like, in all that, and you've evolved, like you've from doing people with suits and doing sales at a small scale. You're not doing it in companies. Same applies to you. From doing baking at home, you grew outside. So even as you're answering your question, I just want you to also answer this question: what has made you grow? What things did you do to help you grow your skill and your talents and the services that you offer? So you could go ahead.
So in everything that we do, passion is very important, because if you're not passionate about something, it's very easy for you to give up. Even in baking, I've had so many challenges, but because, especially when starting, but because I've always been passionate about the kitchen, yeah, I didn't give up. And to answer your question, for me, I've always been okay. I'm an extrovert, but I've always been confined. I'm not really into social media and everything, so it was really hard for me to expand. The page, no. I have to Facebook. I have to post. I now have to be online, you know. So I first started by creating a page, because I wasn't on Facebook for a long time. Yeah, I first had to create a page. Then for me, my greatest help has come from Esther Arts. Yeah, I've been nurtured by entrepreneurs, in short. Yeah, they've helped me to get to understand the digital perspective of business and not the traditional way of doing things. Yeah, so they were my lights into stepping out and going digital. Yeah.
Okay, shout out to Esther.
Entrepreneurs.
Well, let's take the job here.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing that I would just like to point out is also how you mentioned the art and entrepreneurs. These are spaces where people can actually learn
Yes.
about digital spaces, and it's something that we as Utuntu Zambazin are also getting into. Just be on the lookout. We'll be training people on how to integrate into the digital space, whether you're familiar with it or you're not, or you don't want to be into it, but how to get your business position there, and also just the skills that you can pick up for you to thrive as an entrepreneur or someone in the workspace. Now things are more digital.
Exactly.
So look out for it.
Yeah.
Thank you. That has kept it going.
Okay, so for me, what has kept me going is that the years has been
good.
yeah. Just like she mentioned, I'm also a part of entrepreneurs. Before entrepreneurs, my business was like on a small scale, and I met I just found them taking pics. It's like, make me the face of entrepreneurs and I'll market for you guys. You know me, I love talking to people. I don't have that many friends, but when I get an opportunity to interact with clients, so I was like, make me the best. I'm a first person who has me, so I was like, I'm going to post a message with you. And they were like, oh, okay. let's do this. And they did. The response was very good. The response was very good. So from there, a lot of people got to know who the teacher was. And the market just grew. And so I owe it big time to those guys. Away from that, I also learned I grew through like negativity. So I had a friend who told me what to explain. She told me the importance of branding. Oh yeah. Yeah. So it was through friends that I learned. I grew in short. So at first I was everywhere. Yeah. This. Yeah. I've done so many things. So I couldn't really be like an expert in one thing. So with time I learned the art, like the power of just focusing on one thing. So I chose the source aspect. Yes. From there I started reading books. Books are very important. You will open your mind to things that you would have wasted so many years doing to experience. And one of the greatest books I read was Think and Grow Rich.
Think and Grow Rich.
Yes.
I've read that book up to first chapter and a half. I think I need to go back to it.
Actually, read I finished it.
You know, like when you start reading a book, it feels like, it's too boring. So I started reading that book. I would read a chapter and experiment. So if I read, like for example, I read The Power of Thought, like I use that. Then I read about desire and resistance. I had given up. Remember I mentioned to say I had given up at some point. Then I started reading the book one day. Reading and then I came across a complex saying, I was talking about persistence. The more you persist, the more the earth bows to the stuff that you want. So I started marketing it and I started advertising again. So I was advertising every day, even if people didn't respond, I would still post into such a time when people started responding to the things that I was advertising. And so the key was me, I owe important books to my networks, and sometimes I'm just delivering. If I see maybe an event where I can learn from them, even if it's expensive, I'll trust my reading. Because I know the end result of that will be great. It will be greater than the money that I've spent. They say I took advantage actually of an opportunity I got to attend an event called the World Women. Oh wow. And then I'm like, I'm not going to leave. In my heart, it's just like, I'm not going to leave this place and just letting this woman competition is. Then, an opportunity came to asking questions. So I'm like,
You're the first one.
I was the first one in the room, and people were like, she was the first one. Give her an opportunity to ask. And in that opportunity, I made an impact. I was like, I'm a teaching yoga from this such and such a place. At the end of the event, people were asking, what's your handle on Instagram?
Yeah.
You know, I came back from that place. I felt fulfilled. Like, okay, I'm achieving my purpose. Whenever I go to an event, I ensure to have a goal. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to this list. What is it that I want to achieve? What is it that I'm going to achieve through them? I take the opportunity to learn. Sometimes I just keep quiet in the audience so think about it.
Yeah.
I just want to learn from people. So it's the learning that I got, friends, be delivering about the stuff that you do. In everything that you do, ensure to say something with your story, actions. Let people know you for what you stand. I'm deliberate. Even with the people that I date, I ensure it's in line with what I want to be. I just don't do things like, I'm not so today. No. Yes, just be deliberate. Just brand yourself.
Actually, about brand, how do you describe the brand?
How can you describe it? I don't have a specific thing that I can use, but teach an entrepreneur. Just ask anyone, they'll tell you an entrepreneur. Even before I knew what entrepreneurship was, they'll describe me as an entrepreneur. Yeah. Despite me not fully understanding what entrepreneurship was, he knew how to do that. And instead of burning myself, wherever I go, I just say, okay, this is who I am. This is who I am. Sometimes even in action, even in the things that I take interest in. Yeah, so
That's what I
Right.
I appreciate the aspect where you said I'm deliberate in a way.
Yeah.
I feel it's something which you and I also have to learn, all of us,
Yeah.
and people watching out there. Live life with intentions. People are here today, tomorrow they're there. They're wasting time at the end of the day.
And just to add on that aspect of being deliberate, I also remember when I just started baking. I think I was very deliberate with the people that I interacted with. And amongst them were my fellow students in school. If someone was selling something, I would extend a hand and buy what they are selling. Not because I need that thing, no, but because I'm deliberate and I want to exchange a service. Okay, so even right now, my biggest clients are my fellow students. Okay, some of them are actually working right now, and some of them they just tell me, no, we need a cake where I work, my workplace, and everything. So I think it's very important to be deliberate, especially in the generation that we are living in. People are just careless. People are not intentional about the things that they do. Okay, today you're here, tomorrow you're there, and everything. If there's one word that my dad uses to describe me, he describes me as a very focused child. Yeah. So it's very important to be deliberate, especially in these times that we are living in, because you can be swept away at any given opportunity. Yeah.
Um, there's a point you brought out to say at some point you definitely need to do law.
Yeah.
And later on you actually discover to say law is not really part of your package. And you have a lot of people out there who are like, going with the flow with what their parents actually want. Not that it's actually a bad thing or anything, but at what point are they supposed to actually realize to say, okay, let me do this or catch up with what I'm good at later on, you can actually do this at the same time.
Okay, with that aspect, I feel like in Zambia or in Africa in general, parents are still have the control over their children's careers. Okay, like I mentioned, for my dad, he wanted me to do law. So in first year, I went with everything that is needed, and I made points. Then when I was supposed to go in second year and like start pursuing it, I was just like, no, this is not what I want to do. I didn't want to do a career that completely got me engaged, because I knew the kind of person that I was. Yeah. So it was tension for me to be like, no, I can't do this. And I was like, psychology, where is that going to take you?
Oh, you wait.
Where will you work? Yeah. But for me, I've learned so much. I'm proud to say that I'm a psychologist. I've learned so much. And some things, it's not even about just reading books and everything, but those are things that we get to learn about every day. Even the way you interact with people, even just the way I am as a person. I think I'm a testimony because of the career that I chose. So it's just my advice to young people out there. Your parents are gonna talk. They'll be like, no, I want you to do medicine. I want you to do what? But what happens at the end of the day if you do a career and you don't enjoy it, which means the capacity to which you can expand is reduced. So just love to encourage young people. Just do what you want to do. Okay, if there are people who want to pursue music, but their parents are like, no, you can't do music. But there are musical schools and everything. So with the times that we are living in, it's possible to make it in anything that you are doing. Anything that you're doing, just make sure you make the right connections, and like Ratisha said, be deliberate about everything that you do, and it's possible. And just a word to parents. This is something that I've noticed that in the Western culture, parents get to notice their children and their interests from a very young age. Okay, but with us here, it's like by the time you are growing up, you are lost. You'll be like, I don't know what I'm good at. You know. So I feel like it's something that parents should start noticing from the word go. I have a nephew, and he loves fixing things. When you get him a toy, just say, no, I have to fix this. Exactly. So those are things that parents have to start noticing about their children, because when you invest in a child's talent with education, I don't think there's any limit to that. Exactly.
thinking about parenting, I think we are living in an era where we've understood growing up. So I want to believe we'll be better parents to our children.
Yes.
We'll let them develop their interests and actually help them do what they want to
Yeah.
do and what they're passionate about. So we have now that obligation
Exactly.
to our children. We
Yes.
do. Yeah.
That's interesting. And also the other thing that I want to ask both of you is, regardless of the challenges that you had, you continue to pursue your dreams, which is not easy with school and all that. So now I want to ask you, at that point, if you are given a choice, what would you choose? Your school or your passion?
Moment of silence. Take it in first.
Okay.
Just an example.
Okay, for me, I feel both aspects are important because it's the school that made me so focused. I remember when I was interested, I had a challenge that made me so focused on business because I wanted to sort that thing out. Yeah. And then with time, I learned to say, okay, I'm passionate about business more than I am with what I'm doing. Then along the way, I realized to say I couldn't have been that great a business person in the first place because I do adult education. There's a lot that we learn in terms of leadership. And second year I did psychology. Yes, there's management, there's human resource. So all those things help me to do my business effectively and efficiently. Yeah, so I feel it would be hard for me to just say I can throw away this because if you take away the education part about me, I'll just feel like any other source person out there. Like there won't be that ingredient. Yeah. I wouldn't choose any.
So you say penetrate baby, share it. How about you?
But also, but also, I believe you are, let me just put you on the fortunate side where you have both the opportunity to go to university or college and actually have the resource to start a small business. There can be someone out there watching this right now that wanted to go to school. Like you said, you can't just throw out one and leave one to say, for me, I'm going to stick with business and throw out education. But there can be someone out there who doesn't have the capacity to take themselves to school, but they are passionate about being an entrepreneur, doing business, or baking like her. So it's a word of encouragement because you were fortunate to have hope at least, but there can be someone out there looking at you and giving to herself or himself and say, okay, so she can't grow up. What about me? Who has got one option?
Can I just say something?
Yes.
It wasn't rosy. Like, my journey wasn't rosy. Just like just Rosaria. We were classmates actually in grade 9.
Yeah, grade 8, 9.
Yes. So after high school, I applied for school at Windsor. Yes. And then I found myself working in a gym because I liked it. It was something I needed to do. I always knew there was something inside me, but I never knew what it was. So my encouragement to someone out there who is maybe feeling, no, I need to be like Ratisha for me to make it. It wasn't always like this. I had to find ways. I found myself working in the gym, mop floors, and I did a lot. I sold freezes. I made samosas in high school. But maybe my encouragement would be that when you start, don't forget to always leave room for learning. Yes. I know it will be hard at first, but when you start, definitely you will make it if you're passionate, if you're consistent and you're persistent. It doesn't matter who you are, where you're coming from. The 3 things that I've mentioned are what's key. Be consistent, be passionate about whatever you do, and just remain consistent. It will work out. This is my promise to you. Because it worked out for me. I don't come from a rosy background. But I just remained focused. I came to Unza, they rejected me and I was like, I'm not leaving this place until you give me a place. I have so many people looking to me, like they're depending on me. And they did. Yes, I'm not saying school is the end. Everything. What I'm saying is the 3 things that I mentioned are what's important. Identify yourself in what you love. Yeah, and you will definitely make it. I believe in you.
believe in you as well as what you do.
Okay, just to answer the question that you asked, I think for me, just like Patricia would throw away in, I'll go with both. Because there's a certain process that school gets you into. Okay, the way someone who's been to school analyzes things and the way someone who hasn't does, they are different. Okay, so you really need to. Okay, it takes you through a certain process, and even the way you perceive things, the way you look at life, definitely changes. Okay, and just the whole process of being a student at UNZA, it forces you, it pushes you out of your comfort zone because of the so many challenges that you face. So you need
Can I just say something? You don't necessarily have to be an author. You can go to any school and you can afford. Yeah, sometimes I learned from YouTube. I taught myself how to tailor from YouTube. The first thing I learned was how to fix information from YouTube. I read, like I said, I read. If you have the ability to read, try and find out, like, try to read something in line with your passion. Yeah, it will help out. Okay, basically what school does to you is that it helps you see things differently, handle things differently. So even the reading that you do is education in itself. So that's what's important. Read. Invest in yourself. Learn. Never stop learning. I'm student. I don't know a lot of things. I might act like I know a lot of things. I don't. Sometimes it gets tiring.
What you just said is something that we talked about last week. How going to school just sort of prepares you to be able to adapt in different places. To be able, because then it was also mentioned that it's useless to have a paper or a degree or a certificate or a grade 12 or grade 9 certificate when you cannot learn other things or adapt other things or apply what you learned in that space in different fields. So yeah, it's really important to sort of keep your mind open to learning and keep your mind open. As long as you can, like you said, you can read. You can as well as pick up a book, pick up a new skill. You can ask people, and above all, you have to remain teachable as a human being.
And you mentioned something very important, keeping a open mind. Even when you're doing your school, don't just limit yourself to say, okay. There are some people that are in campus and they say, I can't do business because I'm a lawyer or I'm studying what. My mom told me something very valuable. She told me to always keep an open mind. When you have an opportunity for something, it doesn't matter. Take it in your hands and maximize. I initially wanted to do economics because it's so cool. Like, economics, and you know, when you hear such things, you feel like, okay, it's so prestigious. This is what I'm doing. I applied, I was accepted others. And then the opportunity that came was adult education. You know, adult education. How many people understand adult education? They're like, you need adult education.
You think you're going to speak English?
Yes, that's what most people think. So I took that opportunity. Let me whatever I will learn from here, I will use it. If it means me being the best adult educator there is, I'm going to be that. And so always keep an open mind. If an opportunity comes, get it. It doesn't matter, just get it. You don't know how many doors that opportunity will open. For me, adult education gave me enough time to just focus on whatever I'm doing right now. And I'm very grateful because of, like, the skills that I gained from adult education. I can be able to write articles now. I write stories. Like, sometimes I just wake up in the morning, I'm like, okay, I may start writing. I'll just start writing in it. It's something that I go through that. But you know, education, they are so focused on notes, shine, all those things. Yes, so just take an opportunity that comes. And a door that opened for me that I wasn't so happy about was the gym thing. I was a very lazy girl in high school. I never did any sports. Then, you know, you're applying in supermarkets because it's fancy. Like, how you know I didn't get accepted. Like, no one offered me a job there. And I get this job where I'm supposed to be running around, writing and everything. But I say, if this door has opened, then get it. So I
started working there. I would cry in the morning sometimes. I was like, wait, what's myself? She was the tough one. Then she just tell you, oh, what you're doing is rubbish. And you're just there like, oh my God, how am I going to last? Yeah. From there, I learned the art of interacting with different people. So just keep an open mind. Always have a mind to learn. Sit down, I'm going to learn from this opportunity that has come. I've learned from people who haven't even been to school. Like the stuff that helps me is the stuff that I learned from people who haven't even been to school. So that's for me. That's it. Just keep an open mind. Just keep an open mind.
So you heard it from the sales lady yourself?
Okay. And just to answer the question that you asked at first, to say that what happens to someone who only has one thing. Yeah, I think for me, I always believe in working with what you have. The problem with us youths today is that for you to start a business, you want to wait to have 50,000. That's when you're going to start a business.
Talk about that.
Because for me, the way I raised money to get the things that I needed for my baking, I wasn't given capital, no? I started with selling scones. Okay? So I would sell scones, then I would supply them in the local shops at home. I would take them, supply them, and everything like that. So that's how I started, and that's how I raised the money to start baking and get into the baking business. So just an encouragement to someone out there: if you're passionate about something, okay, if you know that, okay, I want to start sewing, I want to get into the tailoring business, what steps or what are you supposed to do for you to get to that point? You can get a job. Okay, the problem is that with us youths, we love fancy jobs. Yeah. We don't like getting dirty. But what I believe in is that for any job, work to create connections. Because for me, what enabled me to not really get a space at Uza because I had applied and to get the bursary that I have today is because where I used to work, I was so open-minded. I would interact with different people, and a lot of big people would come to the shop. Okay, so one day this lady asked me, she was like, don't you have plans of going to school or anything? Then I was like, yeah, I do. And I said, oh, okay. Then I told her, like, I applied here and here and here. And she was like, okay, just give me your details. Then I'll add your name to the bursary list. And that was Miss Irene. I was just a small girl working somewhere. Then she was like, oh, I'll give you this opportunity. I'll add your list to the bursary list. Then that's how I got my space at Monza, and I was given PC. So for every place and every opportunity that you get, make the connections that you need. Position yourself. Be deliberate. If you're doing something and you're working somewhere, just tell them, okay, I also bake, I also sell boxers, I also do this. Okay, people won't always respond if they haven't seen the work. That's just one fact about people. They're not going to respond. You have to position yourself and you have something, but people are always watching. If you are a startup, an entrepreneur, you want to do something and you think, no, there's no one who's coming to my shop, there's no one but people are always watching, and people respect consistency. If you're consistent with what you do, trust me, crowds are going to bow before you. Just that, be consistent. And for those people who do not have the opportunity or the finances to go to school, I think they say that school is easy. All at 50 you can go. So if you don't have that opportunity to go to school, maybe you try to apply for bursary, you've been rejected. I think just work with what you have. You can start up something, you can get a job, but always be open-minded. Let people know that, okay, I want to go to school. Okay, out there you never know who's going to help you. And above everything else, just be humble. The problem with us youth these days is that we want to create a certain image for ourselves, and yet behind the scenes we are something else. So just be you. If you try to imitate another person, the people that are supposed to come to your life and help you out are not going to come. So just be yourself and be humble, and just be a go-getter.
Yes. I think you mentioned something that is very important, something that I can also attest to. I saw boxers. It's not something that someone who's like girl myself, yeah, maybe proud of, but it's something that I carry with so much pride. Going to some boxers, advertising, because I know it's something that buys the stuff that I have. Yeah. So like I mentioned, there's an event I went to on my birthday. After talking, I think at some point I mentioned to say I said boxes after answering the question that I had been asked. And one lady just called me boxes. I didn't even know what she wanted from me. Her name is she's the owner of she owns something. Her name is Salome Sanfa. She just called me and said, "What do you want?" And I used what I had, which was boxes. That's something I own. Yeah. Said I sell boxes in campus. And in my head, I was just like, she's just asking. I went back to see it. She was one of the presenters at the event. Like, when it was her time to present. I just kept her saying, I'm going to give Katisha something. And she mentioned, it was something. That was the first time in my whole life someone gave me that much money. And I was just like, what's going on? You still don't understand what's going on. Like, what's happening? Yeah, so it moved from just boxes now. I registered my company recently. So it's from there that you start. Start small. It doesn't matter. Just start, try whatever you have is too much pride. Treat it like don't focus on how small it is now. Yeah. Focus on what is it that you see. That will help you handle your life with so much pride. Because you cannot see what I'm seeing. I walk around campus with the plastic and my boxers. People can see what I want. I don't care. Because I'm not and just to add on what Patricia said about having a vision, sometimes when you're a startup and you're in a crisis, it's hard to see ahead. I will not lie. It's tough. It's tough to see ahead. But for me, what encourages me is that sometimes when it's hard right now, and I'm just like, what? I see myself 5 years from now. And I'm like, what kind of a Tishim am I going to be in the baking industry 5 years from now? And I'm like, oh, okay, there's hope. Let me go forward. So sometimes if you can't see, just encourage yourself. Like, in the future, whatever effort you're making right now is going to accumulate into something big. So if the vision is blurry right now, just continue going. Years from now, everything is going to sort itself out.
So you've heard it from herself and the sales lady there. Embrace and appreciate your baby steps. Everybody started from somewhere. Be persistent. Don't stop. Like she said, people are always watching. They're always seeing what you're doing. They may not respond right there and there, but trust me, people are watching. So this conversation is really interesting. I'm really inspired. I'm motivated. I hope you're getting the same energy as I am.